Hi, it's Lindsay Diane from DianeDecor.com. Today, let's talk about unwelcome house guests. Figuring out how to deal with unwelcome house guests is always a touchy subject. You don't want to feel like you're being rude to someone, but at the same time, you want your space back to yourself. And so you have to figure out how to get someone to leave your home politely. And there are actually a few ways that you can go about doing this, and we're going to talk about it all in this video today. The first thing that you're going to need to do before you approach the person with any of these methods is to make sure that you get on the same page with whomever else is in the house. So if you are hosting that person with someone, whether it's your spouse or your roommate or whoever lives in the house with you, make sure you have a discreet sidebar with them and let them know, hey, I'm trying to get this person to get on their way. Don't engage them or start any new stories. If you have someone who likes to chat, let them know what your plan is so that they don't re-engage that person and they end up staying longer. It's also better to just have that conversation one-on-one quietly, so that you aren't trying to send secret signals from across the room and then be misunderstood. It's easier to just say, hey, can you help me with something for a minute? And just speak to them and get on the same page. Okay, so there are a few different types of unwelcome house guests. To break it down easily, let's say that we have two categories. There are the guests who are uninvited. These are people that have either dropped in or piggybacked on the invitation of somebody else and just kind of showed up with another person. Or there are invited guests who have just overstayed their welcome. So let's start by talking about the uninvited house guests and a few different scenarios that you may find yourself in with these people and how to get out of them and get them out of your house politely. Okay, so number one is the drop-in guest. This could be a friend or a relative who happened to be in the area and called to see if you were home, even if it was 15 minutes before they stepped foot on your doorstep, or maybe they didn't call at all and they just showed up at the door. This is that drop-in house guest that was uninvited that caught you by surprise. Now, this is a very sticky situation and you want to handle it delicately. You don't know if that person has driven a long way to surprise you and they really thought that you would appreciate the surprise, or what sort of situation they're in that they found themselves dropping in on someone. So there are three things that I like to do when I have uninvited drop-in guests, and here they are. My first tip is to make sure that they don't get too comfortable. And by this, I mean, consider where you are going to host them in your home once you let them in the door. And this means don't bring anyone to a cozy common area that's going to make them want to stay longer. A place where lots of other family members might be coming in and saying hello, and where they may be eating snacks or watching TV. Think about areas that are a little bit more formal. This could be the home office in the front of your house, or if you have a formal sitting room that doesn't have a TV and doesn't have couches that you lay on and recline in, or it could just be a kitchen table or a kitchen counter. My next tip is to offer them water and only water. No cheese and crackers or popcorn or some charcuterie spread. Food is just going to make people want to stay longer. So be polite, offer water, but that's it. My next tip is to suggest another time to meet that's more convenient for you. Let them know that, hey, I wasn't expecting you. I do have some other things that are going on today, but I'd love to meet up with you at this time, this day, the other day, whenever. To let them know that you do appreciate them wanting to spend time with you, but you did have other things that were going on and you want to stick to those plans. This will also let them know that their time visiting with you is limited and they won't get too comfortable in your home. The next type of uninvited guest is the one that piggybacks on the invitation of another. So while you may have invited one person, another person shows up with them. And this type of uninvited guest can be a problem at certain times. While many of us may just say, hey, the more the merrier, there are some situations where this just isn't going to work for you. Let's say you decided to set up a private wine tasting for everyone, and you have a set number of guests that you're allowed to have that you already prepaid for. An additional person out of the blue may be a problem. Or you may have decided to gather your friends together to tell them something private, whether it's a pregnancy announcement, or maybe you're moving, maybe there's a death in the family, maybe someone's sick, and you wanted just your close-knit group of friends there. And now there's this stranger that you haven't met in your home, and it's kind of put the kibosh on all of your plans. This is another time when an uninvited guest that comes along with someone else may just be a problem. So there are two ways to handle this. You can say, hey, the more the merrier, and invite them and welcome them into your home for the entire event. But if you're going to do this, you should pull your invited guests aside and let them know, hey, I wasn't expecting this person. In the future, please let me know if you intend on bringing someone extra. I want to make sure that I can accommodate them comfortably. The second option is to let them stay for like a cocktail hour, but not for the entire dinner. If you just don't have the chairs, or you don't have the space, or you don't have enough food for someone, it's better for you to say, hey, pull your friend aside and say, hey, I wasn't expecting this person. You guys can stay for the appetizers and cocktail, or if you want to come back for desserts later on, but I have a limited amount of people or space or whatever it is for your dinner. Okay, now let's talk about an invited guest that stays way too long. Way longer than any other guest. The party has been over for 30 minutes and this person is still on your sofa. Start by giving them a time warning. Thank them for stopping by. Say, hey, I'm so glad you were able to make it. And then let them know that you have other plans for the day and ask them what their plans are for the day. So you would say something like, hey, I've got to bring my daughter to her music lesson in about an hour. What are you doing for the rest of the day? The question part of this approach is really important. You want to redirect that person's attention out of your home and onto other things outside of your house. If they say they have nothing going on, suggest something for them to do. This person may be fishing for an invitation to tag along with you. They may be perfectly happy running errands with you or going to your daughter's music lesson, and you don't want them to come with you. So make sure that you suggest something for them to do. Say, have you checked out this park? Hey, this movie just released in the cinema around the corner. This, that, or the other, anything. Suggest anything that is outside of your house and that doesn't involve you. If it's the evening time, this is really easy. You can just say you're going to bed. But during the day, you may want to suggest another activity for them. After about 5 minutes, say, hey, it was good catching up with you. Let me get your things. And gather their items and walk to the front door. Whether you're picking up their jacket, handing them your purse, you want to stand up and walk towards the door with their things. So many people make an attempt at this. I know that it feels harsh, but if you just wait for them to get up and you wait for them to say, all right, well, I guess I better go, it's probably not going to happen. If that person has been lingering longer than all of the rest of the guests, they're not picking up on these subtle social cues. So you need to be crystal clear and intentional, and you have to stand up, gather their things, and walk them to the door. They're not going to sit there in the chair while you're holding their things at the door. They're just not. There's no confusing that signal. So they will get up and follow you out. Now, I know that direct approach is not for everyone. And if you're thinking, Lindsay, there's no way I could do that. There's just no way. That's okay. There are some indirect approaches to help get somebody moved on out of your house. but they may not be quite as effective as the direct approach, but here they are. Let the person know that you have some things that you just want to get done today, and let them be the most disruptive of things. So vacuuming, mopping, sweeping, laundry, things that are gonna force you to move around furniture and make them get up and find a new space and all that sort of thing. Start doing the chores. It's really uncomfortable watching other people do chores for many people. So they may find that as the right time to go ahead and excuse themselves and leave. The only potential snag with this plan is that, sometimes if people are lonely and they just want the company, chores may not deter them at all. They may sit there and wait for you to be done, or they may offer to help and have fun helping you with mundane tasks like that. So this indirect approach might not work on everyone. The second indirect approach is to let them know that you have a commitment outside of the house and that you need to leave the house shortly. You can give them a time warning, just as you would in the direct approach. So them, hey, in 5 minutes, I really got to start heading out. And put on your shoes if you have to. Let them know and give them all of those social cues that it's time for them to get going. Avoid sharing too many details because, again, they may invite themselves along with you and then you're going to be put in another awkward situation. So instead, really just start to get your things together. Basically, stop entertaining them. Stop sitting there and listening to stories and talking, and go about doing things independently. A person left sitting on the couch, again, it's kind of an awkward thing, especially if you leave them alone in a room while you're changing or whatever. It's a situation where the guest is going to start to feel uncomfortable and they will realize that it's time to go ahead and excuse themselves. You can also give them a gentle reminder that, hey, next time, let me know in advance when you're in town, and I'll make sure that I have time to hang out longer. The next type of unwelcome house guest is the overnight guest who has been invited but keeps adding days to their stay. Now, while I have not personally had to deal with this, I do know a lot of people that have been put in this situation, and it's awful. No one likes to be thrown off of their daily routine for an undetermined amount of time. It's really inconvenient. And it's a hard thing to approach somebody about and say, hey, can you find someplace else to sleep, But here are some suggestions that I crowdsourced from other people and things that they would do in this situation. First, the direct approach. Just flat lay it out for them. Say, hey, it was great having you here, but I can only host you for one more night. If they're an out-of-town guest, give them a few local hotel options, and in the morning, offer them a ride. This will help remind them that they are not welcome to stay there another night and that they need to make accommodations elsewhere. Now, here are a few indirect approaches. I'm going to tell you these are suggestions that I have gotten from friends and family. Frankly, I'm a direct approach kind of person, but these are pretty funny and they may work for you. The first one is to stop making meals for them and stop eating together. This will help your unwelcome house guests know that you are trying to get back to your own individual routine without them. You can also do other things to make their stay inconvenient, like changing the Wi-Fi password, stop refilling the toiletries in their bathroom, or ask them for money to help chip in with expenses. Another thing that you should do is get back to your normal routine. Stop tiptoeing around people that may be asleep, things like that. If you've been extra courteous about not disturbing someone because they are a guest in your home and you no longer wish for them to be a guest in your home, just get back to your normal routine and stop tiptoeing around them. That little bit of inconvenience may also encourage them to get on their way. So those are a few ways to tackle unwelcome house guests. I hope you found some tips in this video that will help you the next time you find yourself in this situation. Don't forget to visit me at DianeDecor.com. I've got lots more posts about home entertaining and house guests over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.